Tool's 1996 follow-up album, Ænima, is widely regarded as one of the single best heavy metal albums of the entire 90s. And I'd have to agree. Hope y'all are doing well, and thank you for joining me for my review of Ænima. Let's get into it. The album itself, just want to preface first by saying I'm doing a whole segment on my channel of Tool's album reviews, minus Opiate. I already started with Undertow. That review is on the channel. Have seen it, thank you, and thanks for patiently waiting as well for this review. Hope you enjoyed this one as much as the last one, if not more. So, whereas 1993's debut Undertow saw the band enter the scene with this very angry, visceral, aggressive, like coming right for you sound, Ænima would see the band's anger evolve somewhat. There's a lot of firsts on this album. There's a lot of things unique to this album. For example, this album, despite not being the longest Tool album, does have the most number of tracks, coming in at 15, and that's likely due to, my second point. Ænima saw the band's first use of interludes. You did have the hypnotizing Disgustipated at the end of Undertow, but that's not really an interlude. That's just long, stylized conceptual outro. Whereas with this, you have interludes just placed right bam in the middle of the tracks. When you take Ænima as an album as a whole, all of Tool's albums are meant to be viewed, are meant to be listened, they're meant to be an experience. That's why they took forever to drop their shit on streaming. Among other reasons, but that's one of the reasons. They're about the whole album experience. And there's a lot going on here. There's a lot. Ænima is a melting pot of Tool just trying a bunch of new things and evolving their sound. And it's a good thing they evolved their sound because, Undertow's a great album. I said so in my review. And I'm sure if Tool had went on to just drop angry album after angry album, they still would have made an impact. More Undertow could never be a bad thing. But, of course, they wouldn't be as legend status as they are today had they not evolved their sound and given us this unique experience on every single album. And that would start on Ænima, where we would see the seeds of Lateralis being sown in tracks like 46 and 2 with its experimentation. You have Tool refining their humor and finding more sarcasm to inject into their songs in the form of the title track, Hooker with a Penis,
Bitch got a penis,
Eulogy. That you have the classic Tool humor. You have some gut-wrenching emotion here in tracks like H and Jimmy, the former dealing with Maynard wrestling with the prospect of being a father and projecting all those demons onto his son, whereas Jimmy is a very somber retelling of how Maynard just lost his mom to paralysis at age. We all know the story of Judith, but it's still like 11 years old and your mom just, that's it, paralyzed for the rest of her life. Of course, that tragedy did bring us songs like Wings for Marie, but it's, think about that sometimes. It's like, what would you do? I don't think I'd have it in me to write a song about it. It's some heavy stuff. You have the insane closer, Third Eye. Tool's closers for the most part are usually atmospheric, few minute long outros in the form of, probably gonna butcher the fucking pronunciation, but Faip de Oyad. I'm probably butchering that, but at the end of Lateralis, that's like a little few minute long, creepy-ish, but still a few minute long outro. Viginti Trace at the end of 10,000 Days, also a few minutes long outro. Disgustipated on Undertow, it is long, but it's not, heavy. Third Eye is a 13-14 minute long behemoth of a fucking song that takes you on this trip. By the time you start Third Eye, let's go, and then you finish Third Eye and you're like, where's the rest? Third Eye could have been an opener, and had it been the opener, it would have set quite the stage. Not to say that Stinkfist failed as an opener. That's a great song to start out with. Right off the bat, getting into leftover Undertow sounds, anger, viscerality. So you have this experience over the course of the entire album. The first use of interludes, they didn't even falter doing that. You have these songs that stick out, Message to Harry Manback, Dyer von Satan, might have butchered that name too, but I'm not German. Ions, and right smack dab in the middle of that track list, kind of in the middle, 46 and 2. which is Tool starting to, experiment. Essentially the same riff played out over the course of the entire song, just with shit added to it and layered. Fucking banger. And I find it interesting, I'm probably not the only person who's made this observation, but I do find it interesting that before 46 and 2, the album plays out like a standard Tool album. You have banger after banger. You got Stinkfist, Eulogy, you have H, and yes, you have Useful Idiot, the short outro to H, but that's essentially what it is, an outro to H. I don't see it too much as an interlude. And then you have 46 and 2, a song dealing with themes such as metamorphosis, change, evolution. And then after 46 and 2, then they hit you with the interludes and all, I think Message to Harry Manback comes right after 46 and 2, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, the interludes and such come after the song about metamorphosis and change, which I just thought was cool. So, what do you get when you combine everything I just talked about and put it into an album? Again, when this came out, people were saying this was one of the best heavy metal albums of the entire 90s. And the 90s was a pretty good year. Looking back, the 90s was home to a lot of pretty good releases. And for Tool's Ænima to stick out among all of those by the collective mass, and they say that this is one of the best, I really think it is. Not just the best record of the 90s, or one of the best records of the 90s, but really I think this is Tool's best album. A lot of people say Lateralis is the best album. And yes, I probably enjoy listening to Lateralis front to back the most out of any Tool album most of the time. Because, as you know, we can't actually pick a concrete #1 consistent favorite Tool album. But Ænima is Tool's, in my opinion, is Tool's most fully realized work. You have so much going on here. I mean, again, I touch on these tracks briefly, but I cannot stress enough how much variation there is stylistically over the course of this album, and yet how none of it feels out of place. Die von Satan, the one that I probably butchered again, is literally a German recipe for cake. That's what it is. You put those lyrics and translate them to English, it's a recipe. I mean, that's fucking hilarious. They put this, what sounds like Nazi propaganda in as an interlude in your album, and it's just a recipe for cake. I mean, what other band would do that? Message to Harry Manback with this death threat from this ex-friend of the band, I believe. Ions is the perfect buzzy interlude before the closer, Third Eye. There's so much going on here. The title track is a roaring tempest of energy. This track roars. It does. Ænima, the track, is incredible, and one of my favorites to go back and listen to repeat after repeat after repeat on that album. I cannot get tired of it. Learn to swim. Amazing. I love it. Stinkfist, incredible opener. Again, the emotional resonance of H and Jimmy. There's so much going on here. Yeah. Honestly, if I keep talking, I'm just gonna end up repeating myself in different ways. So I'm probably gonna end it here. I could keep talking about this album forever. I didn't even mention Push It. I could go in depth on every song here. Push It's amazing. Every other song is amazing. But I could sit here and talk about Tool for the entire day. But it's not enough space on my phone for that kind of video. So, oh well. Thank you guys very much for watching. Again, if you're coming here from the Undertow review, appreciate you sticking around. If you're new here, check out the Undertow review, or don't. But if this is a segment that you would want to follow along with, consider subscribing. It would definitely help me out a lot. I would like knowing that people want to hear what I have to say and I'm not just talking to my phone. I will be back hopefully soon. Hopefully there'll be less of a wait between this and my last one. I'm still learning. I'm getting into heavier video editing now slowly, so this is a learning experience for me as well. And I will be back as soon as I can with Lateralis. Lateralis is going to be a fun one to talk about. Can't wait. Love all of you guys. Drop a like, comment, let me know what you think, and yeah, stick around, man. We'll be back. These are only going to get more fun. Alright, see you guys.